So the main purpose of this video is basically to teach you all the things you may have missed when you weren't in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And this notion can actually make you become a better player and understand deck building, as well as why you will play a card over another. For the purpose of this video, I will use my deck called 3 Axis, which makes things very easy to differentiate, but this video actually applies to a lot of decks, mostly combo decks, but you can also use that for every mid-range deck. So first thing first, if you want to learn how to deck build in Master Duel, the first step is to actually not use Master Duel. So yeah, there are a lot of very cool simulator online, like Edo Pro or Dueling Book, and I definitely recommend you to use them first in order to learn the game and deck build on it, because you have firstly all the cards for free, which means that you will save a lot of money. It also allows you to test the OCG and upcoming cards, which might get very useful for you in the future. And actually, on some of these platforms like Dueling Book, you can play against very strong opponents actually, compared to how random the ladder on Master Duel is. But there is also another thing which might improve a lot your deck building skills, is that on this platform you can actually sort your deck list, sort the order of the cards, because on Master Duel it's kind of automated. I don't think you can change any order in your deck list. So yeah, some of your decks might just not make any sense for the eyes. It can be a little maze to go through. So now I will show you what I mean by that. And yeah, we'll go to the lab. Here we are in the lab, and IRL life is overrated by the way, but it's fine. We are going to start with the role that the cards play in your deck. Yes, the cards in today's metagame are not defined by what they are. What I mean by that is that in your deck list, you do not sort cards by being monsters and spells and traps. No, there is a different way to do that. The cards actually achieved roles. They have roles. They have a purpose, and you need to differentiate them with this idea. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the first category, which are the starters. So the starter are usually the monster you want to normal summon in order to start your plays. Since you use your normal summon for them, it means that they will usually have a very powerful effect, generating a lot of advantage. So yeah, here in this case I'm using Tour Guide from the Underworld and Torn Scale, and usually these monsters that you normal summon will have targets. So for example, you could say that Tour Guide can summon your Graph. Graph is not really a starter, it's a target, and this allows you to then go into your extra deck and continue your plays. After you use your starters and somehow you get interrupted, or you want to put a lot more monsters on your field, then comes the extenders. So these monsters are actually very straightforward, because there is junk forward. It just means that it's a monster that you can special summon usually for free or in a very easy way. These starters and extenders will then allow you to turbo out cards called enablers. So this word is not very popular actually. This is something that was kind of introduced by the combo players. But enabler are basically monsters that allows you to generate a lot of advantage and are easily generically accessible. So yeah, you could say that they are basically the starters of your combo, but from your extra deck. Well yeah, so you couldn't say that they are combo pieces, and usually since they are very generic, you can go from an enabler to another enabler. For example, the two cards that are on my field right now, which are Sherbini and Isolde, can both turbo out a card called Needle Fiber, which will then allow you to turbo out other cards. So yeah, these are the enablers. Once you have the setup you want to make figured out in any deck you want, or in any combo you want, you will then need to figure out the combo line. So by figuring out the combo line, you play what are called the combo pieces. So these combo pieces will come in a very specific order that you designed for your combo to work. you will basically have to go from your enabler to your end goal. There are actually different types of combo pieces. As the first category, which are not really combo pieces, I will talk about the engine requirements. So the engine requirements are cards such as Graph or the two that are on my board right now. They are cards that you need to use from your starter or your way to build what you want. And these cards are usually what you search at the beginning or what you send, and they are not really part of the combo. They are used in order to setting up what you want to do. So yeah, I wouldn't really call those combo pieces, especially since you draw them and use them in order to make your combo. It doesn't mean that using them will impact your combo line. They are not in your combo line. The second category is actually very simple. It is the difference between bricks and garnets. So firstly comes the bricks, which are cards that are in the combo and you need to use them during the combo, but they do not matter if you happen to draw them. If you draw them, it sucks because, of course, they are part of the combo and it could be a useful card instead. But if you happen to draw them, it do not matter in the combo because, for example, here, I summon the Violent Cube in the combo in order to search the DDR. If you happen to draw the DDR, you will just not search with the Violent Cube. It does not kill the combo and it's still very simple to follow through. You will just need to activate the card you draw at the time you need to activate it. Then comes the Garnets. So the Garnets are cards that are in the combo, but you do not want to draw them. For example, here, with the Phoenix Blade that I have on the field, it is an equip spell that you want to send with Isolde. If you happen to draw it, you cannot send it with Isolde. So it can actually kill your combo. Of course, if you draw it, you can adapt your plays in many ways in order to play around that, and I will explain that later in some other videos. But for now, I'll just keep to the simple and say that a Garnet is a card that you do not want to draw or else it kills the combo, unless you use some special methods in order to continue playing no matter what. So then, the combo pieces you play leads to your win condition, your end goal. So here in this deck specifically, the win condition is actually this and this. This card allows me to win here by burning the opponents, and they are accessible by the combo pieces, which were used by the enabler, which were summoned by the starters and the extenders. It's just a very logical way to see your deck, and it can be applied to many things that you play. But now that I finished everything I wanted to say about the specific type of cards we have, I will now talk about some stuff that is a little bit harder to understand, but is also extremely important. So first thing first, we have consistency. It is basically designating how often you will be able to start your plays with your opening hand. So for example, if in my deck I need to make the Sherbini at the beginning, then it is very recommended to run a lot of monsters that are able to make it. So for example, here I play a lot of level 3 extenders. So then we have the Resiliency. It represents how much your deck is able to play through the opponent's interactions. So for example, if I normal summon my tour guide here, and it gets hand trapped, so I won't be able to summon the target that is usually Graph, well, in that case, you can special summon an extender you have in order to go to the same end goal. Next, we have the versatility, which basically represents the fact that you have multiple options you can go to with your combo. So for example, if I'm somehow not able to set up my FTK, there is still for me a possibility to set up a somewhat okay board in order to win that way. Then we have what we call the hand trap protections. So for example, we have Appaloosa, but also Herald of the Arclight. These are cards that you can summon if you have enough advantage, and you can do your combo alongside them in order to protect them. And then finally we have what we call the backup plan. So here I will go with Verte Anaconda. If your combo gets too much interrupted, at least in the TCG, what you are able to do is, for example, make your Verte Anaconda, which is very generic, and just end with a card that is Dragoon or a DPE, which are very powerful cards that once your opponent activated a lot of their resources in order to stop you, can actually help you win because they do not have a lot of advantage left. So yeah, I think I talk about everything important, but wait, there is a bonus part. Yeah, there is a bonus part because I like you a lot. So here I will just show you what is maybe the most important notion you need to know when you make combos, and that is actually not talked about a lot. These notions are around chains and chain links. So in case you do not know how a basic chain works, let's say that during our turn we have set an emergency teleport, and during his turn your opponent summons Tour Guide. So then the effect of Tour Guide activates, and you will be able to chain your emergency teleport. The chain resolves backwards, so as a chain 2, emergency teleport will summon a psychic tracker, and as a chain 1, the Tour Guide will summon a graph. This seems very cool, but like, how do you use this notion in your combos? So aside from basic chains, you have what is called a chain link. A chain link is basically something that happens when 2 or more cards can basically trigger at the same time their effects, but since they activate at the same time, you get to choose the order of them, with the only restriction of having mandatory effect activating first. So for example, let's say that the Seer we have on the field has its effect negated, so it won't destroy itself. If I happen to make a link 2 with them, I will then be able to summon my monster, and then a chain link will happen. So here we will firstly have the effect of Black Garden activating because it is a mandatory effect. Then you will be able to choose the order of activation of these 2 cards, and here what you want to do is when you have an effect to search, like here Herald of the Arclight, what you will want to do is actually activate this effect first as the Chain Link 2 or Chain Link 1, and then activate the other effect here that can special summon a random Burning Abyss from your hand. The reason behind this order is that this is called a chain block. And this matters especially because you have an opponent who might have a card called Ash Blossom. So here, what you want to do is actually activate this effect first and then chain with this. And then your opponent will be able to chain his own cards, but since the last effect that you activated is not an effect to search from your deck, it will not be able to get ashed. This is a mistake that a lot of people make, and they just activate this one and then activate this one, which means that the last effect is a search effect and it can get ashed and it can mess up your whole combo. So this is just the first example of being able to chain block. There is also a second example which represents the fact that you can chain block cards from your hand. Now let's imagine I have Tour Guide and a Kagemusha Knight in the hand. For example, if I normal summon the Tour Guide, then when I will be able to activate the Tour Guide, I will also be able to activate the Kagemusha Knight at the same time because I normal summoned a level 3 monster. So then what happens is that you will be able to activate at Chain Link 1 the effect of Tour Guide and at Chain Link 2 the effect of Kagemusha Knight. As a result, it will then be the turn of your opponent to activate the effect he wants, but the problem is that since the last effect is just a special summon effect from the hand, it will not be able to get hashed. Now be careful about this rule because the rule about chain blocking is actually quite different in the TCG compared to the OCG, which means in the TCG compared to Master Duel. In the TCG and in Master Duel, you are able to chain block from your graveyard like I just mentioned, but in Master Duel specifically, you will not be able to chain block from your hand, which means that your card can actually miss timing. So if in Master Duel you try to normal summon your Tour Guide and you activate its effect, it will directly be the turn of your opponent to activate something, in this case Ash Blossom, and then you will not be able to activate your Kagemusha Knight because it is the last thing that happened and it will just miss timing. So yeah, this is something you definitely need to keep in mind, and this is why I don't really run Kagemusha Knight in Master Duel. I suppose this is also the same case for cards such as Noctovision in Dragon Link or many other cards that can trigger this way. And yeah, I hope you learned something from this video, and if you like it, please subscribe, and I have many other stuff like this coming soon. So yeah, thank you for watching.